Death Row by Maria Hector. 8. Reading. Narrated by JahBunny, better known as the Badass. Carlton Bryan was the first to make a successful escape from the death row. Again, I was there. As I said, all the tool that needed for that escape was smuggled in through the compound. To the embarrassment of Colonel Megan, a few of us knew that Bryan was working to escape, and there were others on the row who would have fled given the opportunity. Bryan was one of 4 youth convicted for murdering a cop. One, a juvenile, was given life imprisonment. Another had been acquitted in the Court of Appeal. Bryan and Amsalang Looney and Denny were left as the sacrifice. Their case were among the best known frame up on the row. Now Bryan was gone. The escape was discovered at the morning body count, and immediately all hell broke loose. First to arrive on the scene were the death squad and a couple of other sadists. They want to know why none of us had raised the alarm. The officer and the section prevent an ugly situation by his intervention. High-ranking police officers swarmed the place, and it was generally safer for prisoners to lie low. Bryan had a brother serving time. They went for him and another prisoner and mashed them down, claiming they had assisted in the escape, even though they had no proof. Immediately after the midday break, the Funk and his posse arrived on the row, armed with brand new cat o' nine tail. Without any preliminary comment or even a spit, the Funk ordered the opening of the cell directly in front of the cell from which Bryan escaped. A brother we call Shorty lives there. Now the judge had not sentenced Shorty to any corporal punishment, but this did not deter the Funk. Methodically, as if he intended to murder Shorty, the Funk applied the cat o' nine tail with a vigor, enthusiasm reflecting on his grass-squeak sweated face and distorted pleasure his sick mind enjoyed. He was spitting now all over the place. When he was content that Shorty was sufficiently brutalized, he ordered open the next cell, which housed Glaston Baker. As Baker stepped out, the Funk rushed him and began laying this cat o' nine tail. The Funk had now abandoned any patient that he was investigating an escape. He was now satisfying his soul in the only way that a sadist finds satisfaction, by the inflicting of pain and others. Stimulatiously, he was teaching us a lesson, telling us loud and clear in the only language he found it easy to express himself in. that we could expect the same in the event of future escape. After he was spent, the funk and his posse retired, leaving the ward silent. After they left, I stood there looking, thought through the bars at the splitted blood in the ward that had minutes ago flowed from the life of slave, and was now intermingled with the spit of the oppressors. One thing was most foremost in my mind: the myth of Gibraltar, being escape proof, was broken. Some week later, they recaptured Brian. As time went by, I kept up my search for some kind of angle that would serve to eliminate my innocence, being relief to my predicament. The fundamental of my case was problem. I had not murdered the deceased, but knew the people responsible. There were only 3 persons who could prove my innocence, and they could only do so by revealing their guilt. To inform the authority of their identity would still not guarantee my freedom, for I was sure they would never admit their guilt to free me and hang themselves. Furthermore, what proof could I advance that would not directly implicate me? Then again, even if by some miracle I could convince the authority, prudence had courtroom evidence to convict them and exonerate myself, I still would not be free. I did have to carry a gun to protect myself from their associate in the free world, who would certainly not feel brotherly towards me for having sent down their men. I will get nowhere with that angle. Some other way had to be discovered, for though I did not intend to be a collaborator, I did not plan to end up in any 3-story grave just yet. By then, I had lost my first appeal to the Jamaica Court of Appeal and had appealed to the Privy Council in London. Not because I hoped to find justice in that Asian capital of colonialism, but to earn some time in which I might discover the right formula. Since the ban on books and newspaper was lifted, I became the most reviewed book manic on the road. As soon as I laid down one, I opened another, finding it better to lie in the cell reading a book than to engage in aimless ramble that could not help my situation. The prison library provides us with storybook selected by staff librarian. We were not allowed to go to the library. They just sent 26 books to the row, one for every prisoners. Nobody asks you if you would read a book. Was simple push inside every cell. The brothers that were illiterate give us their books, and sometime when the inmate librarian discover a good book, he would smuggle it to us. My attorney and some dear friend on the outside keep me supplied with good books. Father Island Henry, our chaplain, sponsored one copy of the Daily Gleaner per day for the row. Gradually, I assembled a small personal library of books that told me the most book that indicate the only part over which the poor, oppressed, and black people all over the earth must tread is to redeem their status and the destruction of imperialism. In this library was and Garveyism, Booker T. Washington, Up from Slavery, Frederick Douglass, My Bondage, My Freedom, Walter Rodney Groaning with My Brothers, Trevor Monroe, Struggle of the Jamaican People. These books, accumulated over a period, were kept beyond the destructive hand of the goons. Over and over I read these books, feeling that some excitement in the presence of the truth every time I turn a page. In one of them, the brother Phipps Bernard White also had acquired libraries. From the interchange of literature, I was introduced to Fanon, Marx, Cliveridge, George Jackson, and Brother Stokely. It was through reading that I discovered a fact that dramatically changed the situation of my predicament and many others on the road.